We are populating this website on a continuous manner, especially once we have focused on a specific of these issues in one of our technical webinars. We also make the presentations delivered here today available through this channel, and we encourage you to bring to our attention more and relevant information which you consider helpful and you would therefore suggest to others to be aware of in their effort to analyze, monitor, and manage this area. Can we please show now the next slide? Here you find the link to the website. On the next slide, you see an overview. And on the next slide, you see the very specific resources already made available for today's webinar. I hand now over to my good colleague, Cordula Wohlmutter, to run you through the specifics of this employment website.
Thank you so much. Dear participants, a very warm welcome to this webinar on employment for INSTO observatories and INSTO friends and member states and affiliate members of UNWTO. It's good to see all of you, so many of you here on this occasion. And I think it's very interesting, the topic of today's webinar, but also a pleasure for us to present that what we have worked on in the recent weeks and months, namely on compiling information on all these 11 key issue areas. As we said, there is a repository that is available now online. Here is the example of employment, where you can see the most relevant publications, where we have screened UNWTO publications of other organizations in a very systematic manner and have identified those publications that are most relevant for destination managers for their work in general, but also for monitoring and the use of indicators. So what you can see here are publications, but also other resources, for instance, ILO status included here, but also at the very end, you see the EU tourism labor market in 2020, on which our speaker, Christoph de Munter from Eurostat, also will make reference to. Here, I wish to make reference a little bit more on the publication. So when you are interested in one of the key issue areas, for instance, now on employment, you go to this repository of resources on our website. Then you will find under employment the different publications. And in all 11 key issue areas, the first publication that we mentioned is that what we call internally the Green Book, that is also featured here, the Indicators of Sustainable Development of Tourism Indicators from the year 2004, what we call not only the Green Book, but the book itself, that for the use of indicators is the guidance document, the best that exists, that all others that came out afterwards are based on this particular work. And what we have prepared is that for each of the key issue areas, you see that here, from the Green Book, we took excerpts. So for the issue of employment, we took 2 chapters, namely gender equity we took out and employment, and have a PDF file created. So when you click on this, the 2 chapters from the Green Book are coming up. When also for other sources, for instance, OECD paper on which we have not participated as such, but we included that because we consider it that relevant. So quickly on the Green Book, as we said, there are the excerpts there where you then can read through it with all the indicators and what is most relevant for the issue area of employment in this sense now. But as I said, it's for all other 11 areas available too. Just one observation, the excerpts as such can be accessed, but to other UNWTO publications, it might happen that you come to the e-library and maybe you don't have access to the UNWTO e-library, then you would need to reach out to us and we need to see with you on how to access these other UNWTO publications. Talking about employment in tourism, there is, of course, also reference needed to the 2 standard documents that are available from the year 2008. These are the 2 international UN adopted standards for measuring tourism. Both of these publications, so there's one, the TSA, and the International Recommendations for Tourism Statistics, recommend measurement in employment. They also recommend disaggregated data by sex in particular, and also by age groups and by nationality. So this is what the recommendations are for. This brings me to the next slide, which is a publication that our colleagues in the Ethics and in Culture and Social Responsibility Department published in 2018, namely the Global Report on Women in Tourism and the Regional Report on Women in Tourism in the Middle East. And they have encountered quite a significant challenge with data, and they stated that there is a serious data gap, in particular with regards to employment and disaggregated data on sex. And they mentioned that only 23 countries reported to the UNWTO this disaggregated data by sex, which was a huge challenge when compiling these two studies by them. As Dirk mentioned, another effort that we undertook, namely to look through all our annual reports, just for the ones who are not so aware of how INSTO works, all our observatories need to submit on an annual basis their annual reports. And these annual reports from 2020 and 21, we revised and checked which indicators they are using in the 11 key issue areas. For this, for the purpose of this particular webinar, we looked into the employment. We compiled the indicators that they are using and created some, what we call now common indicators. For instance, one common indicator, total number employed in the tourism sector by industry, common in the sense that it's not only used by one, but by several observatories. The next slide shows this, where the observatories are listed. And here you see on the left side all indicators the observatories are using, and the common indicators, who is using these particular ones, so that you get a little bit of an idea. This information we also will make available to you. I think it's for the further discussions that we plan to have with all of you on the use of indicators, a useful document or a useful exercise, let's say. With this, I'm coming to an end with my presentation. I give back the word to Dirk for his summarizing or adding to the comments that I